being passed by Mailander, and still Muller and Eric Bernard in the Pénaz, and there Yannick Dalmas. Oh, a moment for the Marcos. Oh, getting it completely wrong. That's what happens if you leave your braking too late for these chicanes. It's Harold Becker running third in GT2 in the multicoloured Marcos. He actually spun in front of the fourth place battle. We've got a GT1 Porsche coming in. It's Jörg Muller. Muller comes in just as Jeff Lees serves a 10-second stop-go penalty. Jörg Muller has brought in that GT1 Porsche that was battling for fifth place, and they're changing the tyres. I don't know what the problem is, perhaps a handling problem for Jörg Muller, but that's a blow for the works Porsche GT1s. The fresh tyres are going on. The Pénaz, therefore, has moved back into fifth place. And the other GT1 works Porsche's off. Yannick Dalmas in the gravel. Yannick Dalmas has gone off. The car is stuck. He's spinning his wheels, trying to undig it, but it's well and truly beached. And we're seeing what happened. He was coming up to lap one of the Vipers, the GT2 Vipers, but just seemed to leave his braking too late. Now, the GT regulations allow him to have help to get himself out of the gravel if necessary. He can rejoin the race, but of course he's losing a huge amount of time. So a double blow in one lap for Porsche. There's Mark Webber, Bernd Schneider's co-driver, with Schneider getting the pit signal. And on his way now is Jörg Muller. He's got fresh tyres on that car, and he's going extremely quickly now. So whatever the problem was, the change of tyres has cured it. Back into the race goes Yannick Dalmas, and look at him scattering gravel everywhere. The under tray of that Porsche is completely full of the gravel from the gravel trap that slows the cars down so effectively when they go off the track. But there's an awful lot of that gravel now on the track, as Yannick Dalmas, headlights still on, makes his way back to what I'm sure will be a pit stop, because they'll need to clear the gravel out of the underneath of that car. Jeff Lees coming up behind him in the McLaren. Lees has to tuck in as they brake for the Ayrton Senna chicane. Gravel absolutely everywhere, and Jeff Lees has to drive through it. A barrage there. And we're seeing a replay. This is the Pénaz. This is Eric Bernard getting into trouble. He'd briefly overtaken Mailander's blue Mercedes, but he left his braking too late, and the Mercedes is going the right way round the chicane, going all the way round the Pénaz and getting fourth place back. We ride once more with Michael Bartels. Bartels lapping the GT2 Viper as he comes into the chicane there. Looking very smooth, but you can see the car bouncing from inside as it goes over the curbs. And Alan McNish is now inside the number 7 Porsche. They've cleared all the gravel out as we see another replay. A windscreen going on that GT2 Porsche. The windscreen coming out dramatically en masse. That may be a result of all the gravel on the circuit, but they've cleared out the number 7 Porsche. They've got most of the gravel out from underneath, I would hope. Alan McNish in the car, off the jacks, the engine cover back on, and Alan McNish back into the race, but they've lost at least 2 laps in this battle between Porsche and Mercedes. It's not going well so far for Porsche. It's certainly going well for Mercedes. They're 1, 2, 3, 4, still led by Bernd Schneider. Welcome back to Hockenheim. Bernd Schneider in the number 1 Mercedes, still leading the FIA GT Championship race here. The Porsche on his tail is the Porsche of Jörg Muller, but it's a lap down after that pit stop for fresh tyres to cure a handling problem, and it's still Mercedes 1, 2, 3, 4. Fire for a Porsche. That's Sandy Grau's car on fire. Sandy Grau's Zakspeed Porsche. He's pulling it off the track. He's got his door open, and that car is well and truly ablaze, but he's got it on the grass, and he's out of the car now. The fire marshal's on the spot. Sandy Grau out of the car, and Sandy Grau's teammates coming in. That is the Michael Bartels car. It's got a flat front tyre. The front left-hand tyre is punctured. What a terrible race this has been for Porsche. This has been a total disaster this lap for the Zakspeed team with the 2 green Porsches. We've also had trouble for the 2 white Porsches, and out gets Eric Bernard from the Pénaz. A brilliant drive by Eric Bernard. Clambering into that tiny tight cockpit goes the very talented David Brabham, with Eric Bernard helping to strap him in. The Pénaz going really well down these long Hockenheim straights. The fire marshals have got the fire out on that Zaxby Porsche of Sandy Grau. We see a replay and the car well and truly alight, and Sandy Grau calmly drives it off the circuit onto the grass. Armin Hahne now in the sister car, which is about to leave the pits. That's the GT2 Viper, the class-leading car of Olivier Beretta. Pedro Lamy aboard that car now as it gets fresh tyres. All the pit stops playing their part in this race as ever in GT racing. Ricardo Zonta taking the number 2 Mercedes back into the race, still in second place, as out goes the Viper as well. Lots of activity, but now Mark Webber, the Australian, doing the third stint in the leading car. The 2 silver V8 Mercedes still first and second, but there's a battle on now for third place because the Jean-Marc Gounon, Marcel Thiemann blue Mercedes, the big V12 car, the earlier specification car, has been caught by the recovering Uwe Altsen-Jörg Müller Porsche. Remember, it had an early pit stop for fresh tyres to cure a handling problem, but both Jörg Müller and Uwe Altsen have kept the pressure on. This has been the most reliable of the Porsches. It's also been the quickest, and now Uwe Altsen at the wheel of that car is winding in Jean-Marc Gounon and Marcel Thiemann in the third placed Mercedes, putting the pressure on. It's been a terrible day so far for Porsche, but Uwe Altsen may perhaps be able to salvage a bit of glory for the Porsche team. That's the French McLaren coming in for a routine pit stop. But meanwhile, back on the circuit, Uwe Altsen closing up a little bit under braking for the chicanes on the Mercedes. But then the V12 Mercedes seems to have the steam to be able to pull just out of reach of the Porsche. Uwe Altsen using all the road and a little bit of the grass there, and they're coming now down towards the next chicane. Look at how the Mercedes dances under braking as they come hard on the brakes now. The Mercedes nodding away as the brakes go on hard, flicking a little bit wide there for Uwe Altsen. Misses the apex going into the chicane that time, but this is a real battle on now for third place between these two. Headlights ablaze because there's a lot of traffic around. There's a slower GT2 Porsche ahead of them to lap. They're coming now down the back straight into the Ayrton Senna chicane, both leaving their braking as late as they possibly can. The big Mercedes slides, goes over the grass as they come out. The Porsche right tucked in behind it. The Porsche's gone off! Uwe Altsen's lost it. Uwe Altsen in the barriers. The car's caught fire. It's still going backwards down the verge. Now it's stopped. The door's open. Uwe Altsen is out of the car, but the car is on fire. What a terrible, terrible day for Porsche. The yellow flags wave. Uwe Altsen out of the car, walks away, looks at the rear end on fire. The disconsolate Porsche team watching it on their monitors as the fire marshals arrive now, get the fire out, and Uwe Altsen's race is totally and irrevocably run. Now this is the other blue Mercedes coming into the pits. This is the Meylan de Bouchou car. We understand it's been black flagged, apparently got a push start after its last stop, and it looks as though they're going to wheel it back into the pits. Yes, that is the first Mercedes retirement. We're going to see Altsen's accident again, sideways across the grass, bang into the barriers, a huge impact, and on that impact the car bursts into flames. It was actually coming out of the chicane when Altsen lost control. I wonder if it was on earth thrown up by the Mercedes that was in front of him because it had just run across the curb. Well, that Mercedes is now in the pits, the Gounon-Thiemann Mercedes having a last-minute splash and dash, and as Mark Webber takes the leading car on its way in these closing stages now, that late pit stop